Hello, everyone. It is June 15th, 2021. It's Tuesday. It's Harp Tuesday. Welcome to this week's episode. So today I'm just going to do a short episode, sort of a technique-focused episode, talking about that technique I just showed you, which is being able to do descending chords. Those are sixths, they could be thirds, any two-note chord, where the top note is being played by the thumb every time and the thumb is sliding. So rather than playing and bouncing off each time, which we could do, right? This is certainly a valid option. We are instead connecting. So sixths are a common type of pattern you might encounter this where it's useful. Thirds very much so as well, because oftentimes, especially if you're trying to adapt to piano music, composers like to write some parallel thirds. And actually, there's a limit to how fast we can do that, going like this. Whereas if we do the thumb slide, certainly over a three-note sequence, we can get them really fast. See how I can't quite get the individual chords as fast as that thumb slide. So how do we do it? Well, the basic principle is that, again, the thumb is sliding every time. And I'm sure I talked about this in my episode on slides that I did 10 years ago. I'll put a link up here. You can check that out for sort of more in-depth discussion on slides. But basically, we're just sliding the thumb, pushing the thumb onto the next note. And at the same time, we're trying to play the fingers. And the fingers are going to go 2, 3. If we're going on, cross over just with 2. 4 plays 3, 4, plays 2, 3, 4. So walking down like this. And for me, what I find on these is that normally I'm thinking about pointing the palms down at the floor, so that the fingers rest down like this. That's my basic position. So not so much like this, but like this. But for these, and especially the thirds, I'm really thinking about turning the knuckles away from me. Palm's going to face the strings now, and I'm going to get this kind of a position. I think I might even just zoom in a little bit more. There we go. So that's one thing to keep in mind, is just playing around with that hand position. And then it's being able to coordinate that slide and the finger, which is easier said than done, right? And so you can practice going play, slide, play, slide, play, slide, or slide, play, slide, play. You can practice removing the extra distraction of 3 and 4 and just trying to go play 2 and slide the thumb, so the thumb ends up on the next string down. If 1 and 2 are working with each other to a greater or lesser extent, that they're kind of coming at the same time. Great. How about 1 and 3? Or trying. And then 4 either with 2 crossed over or not. So you could start by just, if it's this, we don't have to worry about it, right? Then it's actually really easy because the thumb plays normally and 4 plays normally. So that's something we've done a million times. If we're crossing over, then we're practicing. So again, it's one of these kind of finger independence puzzles that is partly a brain teaser of figuring out how to fire the right synapses to trigger the right muscles to work so that just those fingers play at that one time. And again, same principle on a bigger stretch. For me, at least, I always find like a sixth much easier than a third, because with a third partly, it's certainly possible to push that thumb into the next string so firmly that it interferes with a note that 2 plays. And I just, with my bigger hands, I like this bigger spacing of something like a sixth. And so this type of thing can be useful if you have a longer extended passage, but I would say it's probably most useful over if you can have like a 3-note sequence, right? So if it's just 2 notes, you can place them all and go, right? That's great. If it's 3, we get to do this and not have to cross over, and it can, for me at least, those can sound really quite good. Whereas an extended one is maybe not quite as consistent, and it doesn't offer maybe quite the same speed advantage. So it's faster than, but maybe not a huge, for me at least, again, your mileage may vary, not a huge increase in speed, whereas this, the single chords, for me at least, there's no way of keeping up with that if you have something fast like that. And I'm working on a Boxa concerto for next year that has a bunch of those. Wrong key, but anyway, that is invaluable. And I know, for example, many arrangements of the Pachelbel Canon in D have a section where you could use that same fingering. So it's a type of fingering that you might never encounter potentially, but it can be really helpful when you do encounter it. And it's kind of fun to play around with. So I hope you enjoyed that look at that. And play around with it yourself, see how it feels. And I'd love to hear any tips you have in terms of that technique in the comments. So hope you enjoyed that. I will see you in 2 weeks' time. Cheers.